$3,000, sold a few, and those early calls, like to the coaches listening, I'm sitting there shitting myself as they ask for the price. Shitting myself. Like, I'm about to ask these people $3,000 and I've never done this before and I think I'm going to be good at it. Like, so how much does the program cost? Internally, if you could see my internal world, it was, oh, it's $3,000. Like, shitting myself. Externally, I'm like, it's a $3,000 program. Like.
All right, guys, welcome back for another episode. I am here with Dylan Roos. Is it Roos? Roos with a
Roos.
Z. Oh my goodness!
What?
As I was
You
saying that, I was
Americans.
like,
It's your American
"Oh,
accent.
I'm Canadian, bro. Okay, I'm
Okay, yeah,
Commonwealth
but
too."
to me, it's very similar.
Oh my
So
goodness.
think of
Okay,
kangaroo.
okay,
Kangaroo. This is ruse.
kangaroos. Okay, hey,
Yeah,
that's
there you go. You hit it. You
super
nailed it. There you go. You
practical.
nailed it.
Super,
Yeah.
super practical. Okay,
Yeah.
now that I've got that out of the way, and I
Yeah.
almost made myself look bad, and probably did to everyone listening. First of all, thank you, man, for being here. We haven't talked on a podcast for like you're saying, 3 to 5 years, I think, because
Yeah.
you were
Something like
on the
that.
Dad Work podcast, and we
Yep.
connected on Instagram, and now here we are again. So, guys, this is going to be pretty exciting because I wasn't even sure if Dylan was like in the background, what he was doing these days. He's like, actually, I'm just killing it still. Like,
Yep.
okay, sweet. So anyway, man, let's kick things off without too much more preamble with the question I love to start with, which is, what was the problem that you solved in your life that you solved so well? You were like, oh, actually, I could probably help people with this. And maybe it's not that, but usually people get into coaching, get into there for a reason or a pain point. So I'm curious what that entry point was for you.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So I was diagnosed with depression 20, 21 years old and anxiety, and I killed it in high school, and for most of my 20s, I was the guy that in the back of my mind, I was like, man, did I peak in high school? Like, fuck, I hope not. Like, I hope I'm not the bloke that peaked in high school because I was prefect, which is, I think you guys have like school captains, but we've got a captain, a vice captain, and then we have like a bunch of school leaders called prefects in Australia. So I was a prefect. I captained my high school basketball team. In Australia, there's a sport called AFL. To your listeners, look it up on YouTube. Just go, what is AFL? Watch that video. It's awesome. So I was state footy, semi-professional league is the best way I can say it to you guys. So high school, I was killing it. Good friends, good girlfriend. And then when I left high school, crumbled really, like fell, no purpose, drank a lot, didn't get drafted into AFL. My high school girlfriend slept with my best friend on our version of spring break. We call it schoolies. So I really crumbled. So I had to build myself back up pretty much from nothing, not from nothing, but that sounds a bit, but pretty much from nothing. And then I got into health coaching, and then I started working with men. Me and my dad started working together, working with men, challenging them on their wellness habits. And for me, it was like, well, I'd love to work with high-powered CEOs and leaders and all the cool stuff because that was my world and what I grew up in. My dad was a famous AFL player and coach, so I'd always been around high-performance individuals. But I wasn't, I was 26 or 27 at the time, and was like, well, who's going to really listen to a 26, 27-year-old with limited life experience, probably understood it theoretically, but hasn't really lived it myself? And that's when I came up with Prince to King. So mentoring young men, it was like, well, I definitely can mentor the period of my life that I've just come out of. I've just come out of struggle, like, high highs and low lows. So I can certainly work with high performance teenagers, but also the teenagers that are struggling. So that was really the problem. And then as I was in the men's space and working with men previous, that I realized, oh, boys need mentors. Like, I was just really fortunate that I had them because of my dad. I grew up in a football environment. My mentors were like the best in Australia, really. So I was really fortunate. And I didn't realize, oh, there's a mentor and a masculinity crisis going on. I can fix that. So that's essentially, Prince to King, which was launched in 2020, sold 10 programs. And then that was my first time going full time into the coaching space. Before then, I was running a couple businesses, working in a cafe. I was a barista, trying to build businesses, that sort of thing. And then Prince to King just stuck.
Man, okay. So there's questions that I want to get into the business, but I
Yeah.
first want to start with the mindset behind all that. And maybe even for guys listening, like some of us have not yet come out of that slump, I think, in many ways. And having worked with guys myself, I shouldn't say I think, I should say I know. But
Yeah.
a big thing that I saw with a couple of my clients, and I'm really curious about this, maybe just from a personal aspect, when you have a father who's achieved a lot in a space that you want to achieve, the clients that I work with in this space, for them, the two guys I'm thinking about, it was financial. Like
Yeah.
literally would never, 10 lifetimes would never amount to what their fathers have done. And it
Yeah.
left them with feeling like they could never become a man because the goalpost for manhood was like, well, what my father did. And so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious for you, like, was that part of your journey with a famous dad in sports? You want to do this, you don't get drafted. Was that part of it? And how is that factored into how you actually serve these guys now?
Great question. You can't see the what is it? You can't see the forest through the trees. I think a little bit like probably it's hard. It's all I've ever known was having this famous dad. I'm still so I did my first TV spot maybe a month ago, month and a half ago in Australia. And they introduced me. We've got Paul Roos on here and Paul Roos' son, so I can't escape it, right? Like I just and I early days. So when I was playing basketball and they asked, "What do you want on the back?" and everyone's going their last names. I wanted Dylan, and I remember going and getting the jersey and looking and going, "This looks so stupid. Why do I not have Ruse on here?" Because I wanted that separation. I wanted my own name. I didn't. I hated it. I played AFL growing up, and it was like Paul Ruse's son and whispers in the background, and there's Paul Ruse's son, and so very early on, I had to just learn to adapt, live with it. I built up armor and shield, and then probably when I started my personal development, I got to a healthier place of acceptance. I now, which is what we'll talk about today, but I now run ads. All my ads have my dad in it. Like it's when because I run a mentor business. So it's like, well, I need my family. I can't use random people. I have to use my family. But early days, it was like, I don't want dad to be responsible for my success. But it's like, well, I have to put a photo of my family up, like lean into it. And I think actually something that did help me was seeing how successful Michaela Peterson got, Jordan Peterson's daughter. And I was like, man, why am I just shooting myself in the foot? Why am I chopping off my nose to spite my face? Like, this is my dad. I'm grateful. I love him. He's taught me so much. I talk about him all the time in the actual work that I do. Like, I'm just what do I need to go and hire a dad for a day to get photos with and like just lean into it. So yeah, and then to answer your question more specifically, now I've found my Christianity the last couple of years. I kind of look at it as a really grateful experience to have this dad who I do put on a pedestal, and I did when I was younger. He is a great example of masculinity. He's a great example of what it means to be a man, and I think that part of filling those big shoes or trying to fill those big shoes for me is more around the values that I exhibit day to day rather than the outcomes of success. So it's less about how do I make more money or how do I fill his shoes in terms of being a better leader than him. It's more just like, am I just living my values and being a good person and living up to the things that he taught me? Yes, cool. Now, as I get older and I start to make more money, of course, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder how much money dad was making at this age. Like I wonder if I'm ahead of him or behind him. How do I retire them so that they don't need to work? Even though we're super blessed and we are financially well off, it's like, yeah, I'd love my parents to just chill out now and I can take over and do that. So there's going to be that, but I don't think I'm stuck in the comparison of maybe perhaps your clients of like I'll never be a man because I'll never make that money. It's more, how do I just be the man? Like what defines masculinity, manhood, and how can I be that? Because anyone can, no matter how much money you make, or what you do, you can be that man. It's more how you show up every day.
Yeah, I really like that, man. And looking at who you are and the values that you have, and also accepting where God's put you. And I've done that too, where it's like I wanted to do things the hardest way, even though I had things at my availability,
Yeah,
because I thought it would count more if I did it the harder way. Now, in many aspects of life, I think that's still true. You want to do things that, develop the virtues, and those are hard things. But
yeah,
to seek them out, I've learned the hard way that that's actually not how we're supposed to be doing things.
yeah,
And so, anyway, like you say, to
yeah,
see what you've got, utilize what you've got without either feeling less than or more than because of it, that's such a great, healthy place to be. And I think that's probably a word that a lot of people needed to hear. So
Yeah.
thanks for going
And
there.
and just for the sake of being in integrity as well, I just thought of this is the hardest part. So for me and my journey, the last 12 months, me and my partner split up and we have a little son together. That actually rocked me the most because it was oh my gosh, my dad created this beautiful family and now I can't create that beautiful family for my son. And that rocked me. And that was like, I last 6 months was like suicidal for the first time in my life and really struggling because I could not accept. I was like, how am I in this place? I cannot accept that I'm here. And I've since worked through a lot of that and kind of accepted, well, this is my reality. How do I just be the best man that I can be and best father that I can be in this moment and in this scenario and in my situation? But certainly to answer your previous question of comparison, that was huge for me the last 12 months. So that definitely came up because for me, that was like, that was the ultimate failure. That as a man, as a father, like my values got shattered, my ideas on being in a partnership where two people wanted to be together. I was like, oh yeah, then it'll work. But just so it collapsed my whole world, and that was certainly for me. I was comparing a lot to my dad of like, man, what have I done? I got gifted this father, and now I've ruined that for my son. All those stories, man. So just to be in integrity, that certainly played out a lot in the last 12 months for me.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. And also,
Yeah.
really, thank you for sharing that. And this is where my dad work brain is kicking in like, okay, let's go super deep on this. And it's like,
I know.
which show
Coaching
am I on?
podcast.
Okay. The thing that I can though bridge back to the business is how have you navigated something so personal in your life when your business is talking about the ultra
Yeah.
personal?
Awesome. That's exactly where I wanted you to go with it. So that's the hardest thing about being a coach, I think. Like the hardest thing about being a coach is you're not perfect, no matter who you're coaching. Like you're also having to live life and navigate your own struggles. And I find it incredibly difficult to show up in my business when my life is crumbling around me. It's really difficult. And just that's not just exclusive to being coaches. Like I saw it play out time and time again with the players at football. If they had personal issues going on, their performance almost always suffered on the field. So I saw it growing up as well. But that's the hardest part about being a coach is that what's the saying? The hardest part of being a coach is that it's personal development disguised as a business, really. When you're running your own business, it's not the business that's hard. It's working through all your own shit that's the hard part. So the idea of like starting a business and whatever it is, whether it's coaching or not, all it does is bring up all your stuff. And then if you are a coach, yeah, good luck, man, because I'm jumping on calls mentoring young men about habits and discipline and motivation and working through their limiting beliefs and then jumping into bed and crying and like wanting to kill myself. And it's like far out. So for me, how I dealt with that or my personal approach was I just took I was like, okay, I need my bills sorted. But for me, it's not about making money this year. It's just about pay my bills and deal with my shit. So that was the hardest part for me in the last 12 months was like taking a step back from the business. I think I went from, I basically had 5x to my business in the previous 12 months to then like, what's the opposite of that? So then like doing the opposite, then dropping that 5x, so negative 5xing it because I had all this stuff to deal with to now being in a place now where, okay, I'm more grounded now and now focusing on the business. So that is a really difficult part of being a coach is that you have to work on your shit.
Man, we got to catch up after this for sure. Like this
Yeah,
is so
yeah.
insane, man. This is exactly the problem that eventually, in a sense, showed me the door for dad work
Yeah.
because I just noticed that I would be a small example at the dinner table, said something, or we had a family meeting, and I was like, this is great content. And I was like, wait a second. I'm not even present right now. And as all of this stuff with my own journey, spiritual journey, identity journey, all these things started changing my life. I was like, well, how am I supposed to coach on this anymore? Because in a sense, I don't believe what these guys were brought into the coaching program for. Like my internal world changed that much. Now that's extreme, but I was like, okay, what are even the principles anymore? Like everything's rocked. How am I going to show up here? And it just started to stop me from doing anything. I'd go to make a post and I'm like, literally can't. And it was just like, how do I live my life as someone who is really into growing and looking at truth and finding truth and really being honest with myself if I have to put on this facade of like, I actually know what I'm talking about. And the more
Yeah.
God was like, you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, how am I supposed to be a coach then? And so
Yeah.
anyway, I'm like, I'm in this new stage now where it's like service business. I'm thinking about adding a little bit of coaching onto the front end to help people launch podcasts, but that's not like my core soul. So for you, when you're doing stuff like this, man, like I so feel that because it is like the core of who you are. You're talking about the deepest things with your clients, and man, it's so exhausting. So I'm super excited actually that you got through that because I
Yeah.
didn't. So I'm inspired by that. And now let me ask a question that's been in the back of my mind since the very first time you told me about this, which might even be a few years ago, which is like, how the heck are you selling to young men? Like this is
Yeah.
not the market. This is not the CEO market. This is not the wealthy
No.
market. I'm gonna assume through parents or whatever, but like talk to me about the offer and how you're actually getting people to drop the money on this because I think it's a high ticket program. If I'm
It
not
is,
mistaken.
yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to get into the specifics of the financials for the listener? Like, do you want me to tell the price of the It's all on my website, so I don't care. But
Oh yeah,
is
sure.
that
Like I think as
valuable?
much as you can share, as much as you want to
Yeah.
share, people love numbers. So yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah, great. Awesome. So, yeah, so I sell to parents, right? I will eventually start selling direct to boys, but for me, and I'll share the whole journey of what I started doing to like what worked in the early days to the last couple of years to what I'll probably transition to in the next 12 months. First things first, you have to know if your product's good or not. Like, you have to know that is my product, do people even want my product? So I started there. So 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, August 2020, I just put out a post on LinkedIn. Hey, parents, I'm thinking about putting together a mentorship program. Who would be interested? I'd love to jump on some calls with you to find out what your pain points are. And that's it. It's no selling. I just want to find out what you guys got. So I jumped on, I think, 20 or 30 calls with just parents, just to ask some questions. It was like a live survey almost. Hey, what's going on? This, it's about me. And then at the end, it was like, cool. Once I put together this program and finalize it, which will be in, I'd already been working on it. I had a pretty good idea that this was a good product. It wasn't like I was, trying to sell ice to Eskimo or whatever the appropriate analogy is. It was like, I think that this is a good idea. Let me test it in the market. Let me put it out there. So that was the first step is just, hey, is this a good idea? I had a lot of parents reach out. This is a great idea. So good. So I was like, okay, great. There's some traction here. Awesome. In that question, what would you pay for it? So like getting really clear. I think I had like 20 questions and I just went down the list, filled it out into an Excel spreadsheet and just got really clear. Like, do people actually want this? Then I had 20 warm leads. So there was my 20 warm leads. I think, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 came from that, right? As I said, I sold 10. So I think I had 2 or 3 actually. I reached back out to them. Hey, program's ready to go live. Let's jump on another call. I'll run you through what it looks like. And straight off the bat, I think the hardest thing that you have to get over is you suck at the start. You suck. Just get over the fact that you're going to suck. Like those first few calls, right? They're not good calls. Like not comparing to what I do now. Now I'm like jumping on calls. I've invested in lots of sales coaches and business coaches and all that sort of stuff. So now if you were to compare Dylan at the start to Dylan now, I'm 100 times better than I was. But if I was trying to be who I am now at the start, I never would have started. So just start. Just accept that you're going to suck, get over yourself, and start. So I did the market research, sold, and then I remember the last sale I got, because I gave away 2 programs for free, one at 50%, and then I think I had like 5 or 6 that paid the full upfront, right? In the early days, it was a 3,000 Australian dollar program for 10 weeks of one-on-one coaching. So straight away, like for me, it was like, that's a lot of money. Like I'm charging $300 a session straight up. So, but I sold it. I was like, I wanted to target the best advice that I got, Garrett J. White, also a men's coach in America. You probably know of him or not of him. listening to a podcast in the early days, and it was solve rich people problems, they pay better. And I was like, boom. And it was so handy for me because I could have priced it at $1,000, and then I would have had a lot more clients. But and I probably would have sold more. But I was like, no, I want to work with people who have money, private schoolboys, because I was a private schoolboy. Again, it was like I want to solve the problems that I had. So $3,000, sold a few, and those early calls, like to the coaches listening, I'm sitting there shitting myself as they ask for the price. Shitting myself. Like, I'm about to ask these people $3,000 and I've never done this before and I think I'm going to be good at it. Like, so how much does the program cost? Internally, if you could see my internal world, it was, oh, it's $3,000. Like, shitting myself. Externally, I'm like, it's a $3,000 program. Like, and that is the only time that the fake it till you make it, that's the only thing that's what that means. Fake it till you make it is just that. I was uncomfortable on the inside. Externally, I had to show that I was confident. That's as far as it goes. Do not fake it till you make it. Don't create a product you don't know. Don't serve people that you can't help. None of that shit. That is the worst saying ever. But to that specific example, that's the faking it till you make it. I had to, on those early calls, fake that I was very confident. I was, in a sense. I know I'm a good coach. I know I can help these boys. And I know I have a good product. But dropping that price was hard, like hard, right? I'm sure you experienced it too. I know you were running a high ticket business for a while as well. So, so that was the early days. And then it was just every 3 months I had to sell. So it was like, 10 weeks would go by, or like 8 weeks would go by. I'd get testimonials. So make sure you get your testimonials sorted halfway through the program. Don't ask at the end of the program. Ask halfway through, or ask after a big win. And then again, for me, it was always the hardest part was getting the boys on the call. So as you step into your business, like, you'll find the next problem, or the next problem will find you. You will not have a shortage of problems that need to be solved. So it was like early days, it was like the parents are pumped. They want the program. Yes, we don't care about the price. Yes, we'll pay you, but my son won't get on a call. And then it was like, okay, how the hell do I get boys on a call when I'm not the one speaking to them? They don't want to listen to their parents. So then I had to solve that problem. And then it was like, okay, I remember, 2022, 2022, baby on the way with a new partner, moved overseas. And I got to this point where I was like, oh, I don't know how to grow my business anymore. Like, I've hit my limit in terms of what I know in how to do. Like, I was sitting there looking at it and I'm like, I don't know how to make more money right now. I don't know how to get more clients. I don't know how to create a system or a structure or a whatever. And I remember my now ex-partner, but my partner at the time, just said, like, I trust you. I found a program, but it was like 12,000 USD. And I had to get credit cards out. I had to go and apply for new credit cards to pay for this program because I had no money. Baby was either on the way or just born. And I was like, I don't know. And for me, and this is my advice, I would give some advice to the coaches. If you are not all in, don't start. Don't start a business. Don't start a coaching podcast. If you aren't prepared to do absolutely everything to make sure that your coaching business survives, it won't survive. Like, it just won't. So you have to be prepared to go balls to the wall and, burn the boats is what I just kept remembering. The Vikings would conquer new lands, they'd get there, they'd burn their boats. There's no way back. And so that's how I approached my business was, there's no possible way I'm working a 9 to 5. Like, I hate the idea of a 9 to 5. There's no way I'm going to ever do it, ever. I had an opportunity pop up just last year where, huge salary. And I'm like, I don't care about the money. Like, you can't get me into an office to work a 9 to 5. And I was like that early days as well, right? So invested a shitload of money that I didn't have, and I'm very fortunate that I did my due diligence. I found a good company, and that ended up 5xing my business the next 12 months.
Okay. You want to share what that program was?
I don't know. I've been talking for so long. I'm like, do you want to ask another question? But so I did the product research. I worked. So that was about 2 or a year and a half of organic content LinkedIn. So I got all my stuff on LinkedIn. I was like, where are my clients? Rich parents, LinkedIn. Cool. So I was doing all my stuff through LinkedIn, organic content, and I got my sales that way. Then when I got to that point where I was like, I don't know how to make any more money here, I've kind of maxed out my LinkedIn game, or I'm just not getting any more clients. How do I systemize it? I can't be stuck in this 3 month cycle of like, okay, I've got clients. Now I need to go service my clients. I'm out of clients. Need to go find clients. I need a more sustainable model. So I employed this company, and this is when I started running ads. So I started running Facebook ads. So that's the next thing is if you have a product that works, you've sold your product, you're getting feedback that your product works. My advice is to get into ads as soon as you can because this is how you start to systemize. If I'm doing organic content and I haven't, and there are systems for organic where you consistently post and you do this and you put some ad spend behind. Like, there's ways. For me, I'm just going to share my story, which is I just got into ads year 2, year 3. I got into ads, found a really good guy. I lucked out, found a really good guy who ran my ads for me at a low price point, monthly, a retainer fee, and then employed this company that gave me all the systems and the funnels to do it. So I think that first year it was download a free connection framework. They had to join a Facebook group to get access to the framework. Inside that Facebook group, I'm posting constantly, providing value. I'm doing reach outs to everyone that joined the group via Facebook messages. Hey, how's it going? Ask a couple questions, jumping on a call with them, and then selling them on the program. So then it was like, oh, I have a system here. Because then you start to know your metrics, right? So early days, it was like $8 it cost me to get a join, a Facebook group join. So it's like $8, cost me $8 through my ads to get one parent to sign up. Then it cost me about $150 to get them onto a call, and then it cost me about $1,000 to get a sale. And then once you've got your numbers, you've got your numbers. So then you can start to scale as long as you can fulfill on the product. So that next year, as I said, I 5x'd it because I created a system. I then hired my first coach. Again, like super fortunate in who I hired. He was an amazing coach, so I could trust him. He was an ex-Navy SEAL, awesome dude. Doesn't work for me anymore, does his own thing now, but awesome guy. His name was Kenny, and launched it. He filled him up, hired another coach, filled him up. So I was like, awesome. So once you get the numbers rolling in the system, it started to just flow on really nicely from there. Where you just have to know your numbers. You've just got to go, okay, it cost me $8 to $10 a join, $150 to $200 for a call, $1,000 for a sign up. And then what you do is you just increase your prices until people say no. So I went from $3,000 Australian to like 4,500 to $6,000. So then my 3 month program became 6,000. I was selling it like I think 40%. So then I increased it to 7,000. It dropped to like 18% or like 12%. So I was like, there, cool. There's my price. $6,000 for a 12. That's what people will pay is $6,000 for other programs. So then that's what my program cost for the 12 months. For that 12-month period. And then I transitioned from a 3 month program to a 12-month program. So now for the past year and a half, it's been a 12-month program. And instead of selling a $6,000 3 month program, I sell a $14,400 12-month program. A couple reasons for that. I don't have to sell as much. I can sell one program and I have a client for 12 months now. That's the first reason I did it. Second reason was it became more affordable over a longer period of time. So my payment plan was like $1,200 a month instead of $2,000 a month. And they get more bang for their buck. It is more valuable to my clients. Like, it is a much more valuable program. And then the third thing was probably more a product thing, which was we identified that parents were really stressful in a 3 month period. Like, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? And that was detrimental to the program and to the boys and to my coaches. I was like, my coaches are getting just hounded by parents because it is expensive. That's an expensive program. So in the 12 month, parents are much more like, okay, we have 12 months to work on this stuff. I don't need to start seeing, like, after the first call, what's going on. Because for most of these boys, and you've been a coach, it takes time to work through this stuff. Like, and so I had to adjust in that way from a product point of view, but also business-wise, it just made sense.
Man, thank you for that. That's such a good
Cool.
overview. And I'm like, okay, what part didn't you touch on? But you covered so
Yeah.
much there.
Yeah.
Are you still doing ads right now? Is that how you're
Yeah,
regrowing?
so I can touch on my new kind of. So I've done
Yeah.
some stuff that failed. So yeah, I'll just keep going. So like, so the
Great.
first when I first started launching ads, I spent about $10,000 before getting the first return. So it is like you need a product that works. You need to sell it. You need to get some testimonials. I ran ads straight away because I wanted the system and I wanted to be able to grow. And then you need some bankroll to like. I was lucky. I had clients from my organic that could feed into my 10,000. So I spent 10 grand before I got my first client. But then once you get it, you're like, cool, I've got it. So I figured it out. And then so now my funnel. So I'll tell you what I did last year that didn't work. So then I wanted to do more like, okay, school became really big, SKOOL with Alex Hormozy. So I looked into that. So I transitioned from a Facebook group to a parents community, ran at the same number. So I was like, great, let's do this. I then tried to upsell into a small ticket, like, $99 a month parent community. That just did not work at all. I don't know if it was my selling, my community, who I was talking to, but parents just did not want to pay a small membership fee to get resources for themselves. I also had a product that I knew worked and that I wanted, that worked and people would pay for. So I ended up then just transitioning after about 6 to 9 months of fiddling with that, and again, thousands of dollars wasted trying to, not wasted, it's a good lesson. To then I closed the paid community. I just do the free parents community. So I run ads. Hey, join my free parents community. They join. I do a free coaching call. So I do, and this is I think the best model. This is what I find is the best model. Hey, I am doing a free coaching call. I do a 30-minute free coaching call for them, and then I say at the start, I'm like, hey, today's just about providing value. Tell me what's going on for your son. Tell me about what's going on. I run a mentorship program, 220 successful programs over the last 4 or 5 years. Today's not about that. If at the end of the call you want to talk about the mentorship, let's lock another call in. Today is just about providing you value. 9 times out of 10, they want to speak to me after that call because I've provided them some good value about the parenting world and about raising boys. They're like, great, I want to chat to you about the program. Awesome, let's lock in another call. I'm fiddling with this at the moment, which is I have on my website a video that explains the program and an application form. So I'm still fiddling with the best practice is just sending them the link. Hey, here's the video. If you're interested, let's jump on another call. Just fill out the application form. Or saying, hey, let's jump on a call, and I do that live on them with them. So what typically works better, but I do it more, is the let's just jump on a call and I'll sell you on the call sort of thing. And then they come into the program. I still have the application. So I just reached out to like 3 applications this morning. So they're super hot. Like they know what the program's about. They know how much it costs. I reach out to them. So I'm constantly fiddling with like, how do I just optimize now? I'm just in an optimization process of how do I optimize getting the sales for, I mean, honestly, the least amount of work really. Like I'm just trying to optimize for the least amount of work and the best way to get sales. So ads to a school group to a free coaching call to a sales call to in the program.
Dude, I love that. I love the simplicity of that. And obviously, it's tested over a length of time. And I've got a question about how you see the landscape of things changing, but I do also want to talk briefly about whether there's any long form stuff, legacy stuff that is still bringing people in. Because you said you got 3 applications, they're hot. Are those coming from something you've done in the past? Like, what does your ecosystem of content look like where, maybe you're building that up, maybe you're not?
Yeah. So the cool thing is that the longer you do it, the more you'll get people that have followed you for 2 years that come in. So your cost per acquisition does over time drop because if you're doing it right, if you're providing value over time, I have parents now that are like, I've been following you for 2, 3 years. It's time, right? Oh, I see that you've been in this space for a while. Cool, let's do it. So it does drop over time. You do get people that signed up. I had someone just recently, just last week, come into the program. I jumped on a call with them 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and they've been in my email database. And so that's where the little things do matter. Now early days, you're just trying to get clients, you're trying to get sales, you're trying to keep the lights on. But the longer that you stay in it and the longer that you do the little things, the weekly email, the daily posting in the group, the little things do compound and people see that and then they will sign up. So I'm getting clients from 2 years ago that I spoke to and I'm like, oh, I spoke to you 2 years ago, didn't I? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, let me find my notes in my CRM. I'm like, oh, there they are. How's everyone, how's this going? And for me, it's like, well, things have probably gotten worse if they're speaking to me 2 years later.
Yeah.
So, which is sad, but it's also why you should move like straight away. Just like if you see a problem, fix it straight away. Don't let it get worse. Um, so yeah, it definitely helps the longer that you do something, the more clients you'll get from your past.
So your nurture sequence, some people call it like middle of funnel
Yeah,
stuff. That's your Facebook or your school group,
yeah.
and you're sending emails.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they join, they get straight into like a 30 to 45 day daily email blast. So for the first 30 to 45 days, they're just getting smashed with emails. And then this year I've launched what's called Monday Masculinity newsletter. So every Monday I send out just a value add, and every Wednesday I send out a call to action sign up. Now, the cool thing that I learned through that expensive program was that is the same email every week. So the call to action is I just found a very an email over the last few years that works really well for getting parents to join a call or sign up in terms of fill out the application form. So that's just the same email every week. All I change is the subject line and the subject line and the preview text. That's the only thing that changes in that email. But the call to action email, the actual content of it is the same every week. So if someone, because what happens is they're not opening the email every week. So it'll say like 30% open rate, but that'll be a different 30% every week. Like, sure, I'm sure someone is in my email list opening the email every week going, this dude's just sending me the same email once a week, right? But I think from the mindset point of view is all I really care about is getting people to pay for my program. If someone opens the email and they don't sign up, I don't care. They're not, that's okay. I'm not talking to that person anymore. I'm talking to the person that's just clicked on my ad yesterday and gets that call to action today. And this is their first time seeing that email. That's what I care about. Oh, open it up. Cool. Yeah, I want to jump on a call with Dylan. I don't, too many people get caught up in like, what if I annoy my clients? What if I annoy the people on my database? It's like, are they buying from you? Well, no. Who cares? Annoy them. Like, just annoy them. Just send them heaps of emails. Send them heaps of follow-ups. Just keep going. Like, there is an aspect of just grinding it out before you start to optimize or before you start to take on like customer complaints and like oh, I get once a week I'll get someone, please take me off your email list, or like someone will be so emotional. I had this one lady just recently be like, I can't handle it anymore, please take me off it, like so emotional. I was like, relax, I'll take you off my email list. Like, there's an unsubscribe button at the bottom of each email. But she was like, I can't handle it, it's traumatic. I was like, what? It was like that bad. It was that's a one in a 10,000 sort of thing. But it's just funny. You get it.
Hey, coach, real quick. If you're listening to this, you already know the power of podcasting. My first year with my group coaching program, almost every single one of my clients came from listening to the podcast. Not from ads, not from cold DMs. I literally did zero of that. Just deep, trust-filled conversations that built authority. So if you're a high-ticket coach and you want to learn how podcasting can help grow your business, book a free coaching call with me. Go to proclaimpodcasting.com/coach to book a call. That's proclaimpodcasting.com/coach. I offer one free coaching call to anybody who needs one. Now, back to the episode. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I think that the point that I notice in this too, even in like the content you're creating, is nobody else is thinking about the stuff that you think about all the time.
No.
And I would run into that problem with my content. I'm like, oh, I talked about that last week. And I tried to just cover the gamut. I was like further and further afield of what the actual what actually mattered. And I realize now, after going through a couple more programs and seeing my own problems from a new lens, I'm like, if I just focused on like the 3 or 4 pillars of the program and hit it over and over and over and over and over again, like more people would have signed up because they're like, oh, this is impacting me. And now I get it. Because instead of me thinking they've seen it 1,000 times, they've only seen like your email, maybe 2 or 3. It's like, oh man, I really got that one wrong. So that's an excellent point. But I've never heard anybody send the same email. So that's an awesome
Yeah.
tip. And
I didn't realize it either. I was on one of the calls in that expensive program that I mentioned, and they were like, just send it. This works. We didn't even know that this would work. But one of their clients came in and said, I just send the same email every week and it works. And it was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay, are you still doing? I just want to cover delivery real quick before we get into
Yep.
sort of the last part. Just any other things going on. You're doing one-on-one still, or is it group coaching?
Still one-on-one, high ticket coaching, 12-month program. So I've got two coaches that work for me now, and I'll hopefully continue to hire more this year. I want to have six by the end of this year, and then I'll look at the next thing, which is building a sales team. So still one-on-one stuff. It's going to come down to who you're. For me, working with boys, and what I really pride myself on is we get outcomes. So for me, it's like our program works. The reason that I've been able to get so good at sales is because my program is good. Like my product is good. Your boys need this. Every boy needs this program. So every time I jump on now that I'm 5 years into it, back to that comment I said year one where I was struggling to sell, now I can get on and be like, listen, you need this program. And I know it, and I know that it's true because it works. Now, if I was to sell a group program, I know that my confidence levels would, it'd be like, hey, listen, it's $1,000, you can come to this program. But honestly, like, who knows if your son's going to get anything out of this just because of who my target market is. Now, for a lot of people, like I'm in a men's group myself, that's a group men's program, but we're all, the youngest guys like 25, 26, so they're adults. So they jump on the calls themselves. They engage with the group calls. So it is really valuable. I'm getting a lot out of it, right? So it just comes down to knowing your market, knowing your client, knowing what works, what doesn't work. For me, the group stuff just doesn't work.
Okay, that's super interesting. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love that you're able to scale that because I was curious about that part too, where it's like, this is very personal. Can you
Yeah.
find someone who gets it like you do? And that was a part that I also had trouble with myself. Like,
Yeah.
who else can I hire, man? Like, I just know this so well, and it's like that was so stupid of me.
Yeah.
But was that something to like get over for you when you hired, or was it just like, oh yeah, duh?
Um, did I have to get over that? For me, I think of things quite like black and white. For me, I just think I have to make this work. So I have to hire good. So it's on me to hire good people. Like I can look at it through the lens of like no one can do this and only I can do this. And then I just go, well, is that true? No. Like there are other coaches out there in this space, so that's obviously not true. So then what's the problem? Well, my hiring process. I'm just not very good at identifying talent. Okay, I'll fix that problem. How do I get better at identifying talent? Well, interview 100 people and I'll be better at it, right? So I also, as I said, I want to make it clear, like preparation meets luck. I lucked out with my first hire, Kenny, ex-Navy SEAL. Like, unbelievable coach, superb dude. Now, my second hire wasn't that great, right? So I had to fire my second hire. Third hire, amazing. Fourth hire, he's about to come in and start coaching, so I'll find out. So there's risk with everything. You can't eliminate risk. And if you're a business owner or a coach, hey, you've decided to do the riskiest thing you can possibly do, which is make money for yourself, right? But for me, the payout is if I get it right, which I can control, my payout's massive. In 12 months' time, if I've got 6 coaches working for me and I'm building a sales team, like the payout is so it's huge. Like $14,000 program. If I sell 100 programs a year, there's $1.4 million. There's a 7-figure business with 100 sales. 100 sales over 12 months. That's less than. I think what is that? 8 sales a month. Can I make 8 sales a month? Yeah, I can make 8 sales a month. What's that? 2 a week? Yeah, I can make 2 a week. Now the issue for me has been my personal stuff, but also consistency through the personal stuff. Like if I'm spending money to get clients, it costs me money to get clients, right? Then I need to have a little bit of money saved up, but I've got life. So it's more just get on top of your personal stuff. That's the biggest thing is it's not going to be, once you figure it out, it's not what do I do? How do I do it? It's more whatever's going on in the background of your life or the forefront of your life, however you want to word it. That's going to be the thing that affects you the most. So for me, it's like, I know if you were to be like, hey, Dylan, I have $100,000 to give your business, what will that do? I'll be like, dope, bro. Like you and I are going to be millionaires now because I have the whole system laid out. I just need to keep showing up and working. And that's the grind. Like that's the grind of running your own business is that I think the idea of $1 million a year sounds great to everyone, but people don't understand that your stuff's going to come up through that. And as your stuff's coming up, whether or not you work on it is going to be the main factor of your success. And for me, I always saw the classic archetype of the guy who kills it and falls off the mountain and has to rebuild, right? That was like, that's played out everywhere. That the guy, Wolf of Wall Street, makes millions of dollars, then he ends up in jail. Like, that story is everywhere. So for me, I was like, okay, if this just takes me a bit longer, if I can just do this right and do it once, because I love the work that I do, I love this space. I don't want to burn out this business and then have to find something else. I want to like stay in this space, work with young men, grow it and do it. The difficult part is it's been a slog and a sled, because I have been working through my stuff and stuff's been coming up in my personal life. But I know that like the payoff of doing that now and not just pushing through and focusing on business and money, the payoff is that I won't burn out. I won't grow $1 million business and then become a fraud and fall off the face of the planet and live in a cave somewhere with my son, you know? So there's a payoff. There is, like Alex Hormozy, look at his story I love him because he tells the story. He's like, I had a business partner that I lost millions of dollars twice and all this sort of stuff. So you see it all the time. And I would make a guess that if Alex was a bit slower, picked his business partners better, worked on his stuff, he wouldn't have had to go through that. Now, everyone's journey is their journey for a reason. God has a plan and it's all divine. And that's 100% what I believe. But for me, it's like, I really don't, or alternatively, you become the man who cheats on his wife because he's become super successful. Like, that is and that was in the forefront of my mind. I don't want to be the guy that does kill it and then, oh, look at me, I'm big fancy dude with all this money and go and cheat on my partner. Like, that was for me a big fear as well. So I just find that if you can be a bit patient with it, obviously step one is to get your bills. Step one is go full time. How do you go full time? I give advice regularly. Like, listen, you don't need to make $1 million. You don't need to make $100,000. How much money do you make at your current business? Oh, $45,000. There's your first goal. Make $45,000 a year whilst you're making $45,000 a year at your work, and then make the decision: do I like 90 grand while juggling both, or do I want to go all in and then in a year's time be making 90 grand in my coaching business, and then in 2 years' time be making $150,000, and then So I think if you can just get out of the way of social media and all these people as what did you say before we spoke? You said people usually talk about giving coaching advice and then say, hey, buy my program, right? So I'm not selling a coaching business program at all. But those coaching programs are what? Make $100,000 in the first 30 days. It's so much like speed to get there. And I think that they're really valuable. I think that hire a coach, hire a business coach, definitely do that. But just enjoy the process. Like, just enjoy doing the thing that you claim to love, and the money will come. And if you do it right, you only have to do it once, and you'll 100% have your stuff come up. You can't avoid that. It's just everyone's journey will look a little bit different. For you and I, it was quite intense and quite big and lots of stuff coming up. But I'm now on the other side of that, knowing that there'll be another thing in my future. There'll be something else in my future that I have to work through. But now I'm stronger, more resilient. I've become a different person through the process.
Dude, that whole thing was just like a clip. Amazing. People need to hear that. I needed to hear that because so much of what you just touched on was why I failed at what I did.
Yeah,
and it's sad
really.
for me. It was very humbling, very painful. But so much of what I'm coming out now is like, oh, if I just went slow, and if I just saw the long term, and if I just realized in 5 years will have passed anyway.
Yeah.
So if I just, grew 20% a year instead of 200%.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I can't wait.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
super hard when you're in it, because as I said, I went from like 60,000 in my first year to like almost 300,000 in not my first year. So, well, yeah, my first year, second year. And then whenever I engaged that, so that was my third year. And then I went to like close to 300,000. And then last year it was like 90 or 100. Like, it's fucking hard when you're like, what the hell is going on? But I had so much stuff that I needed to work. Like, me and my partner separated. I had a son and a young man. I had to move out. I had all. So for me, That's why your values are so important. Like coaches, get really clear on what you value. For me, I've been very fortunate. I've lived a privileged life where money, like my parents have done well. My dad was really successful. I don't care about money. If someone's like, as I said, like, oh, do I go into that space? Like, what do you stand for? Like, you get really clear on what you stand. If you're doing this because you want to make money, get out of it. Unless you're doing like a make money program, like in teaching other people how to make money. But if you're becoming a coach because you look at the lifestyle and I posted on my story. I don't know if you saw it because I tagged your dad work one. But the other thing is, I posted just before we jumped on, and I said, about to jump on this podcast to talk about what it means to be a coach, and I've been reflecting on it. The biggest misconception I had going into it was the idea of the traveling entrepreneur. Like, oh man, how cool would it be to like travel the world and coach? And it's like, no, everyone's a little bit different, but for me, no, that sucks. Guess what happens when I just landed in Hawaii, right, to see my parents. Guess what happens when I land in Hawaii? I want to be on the beach drinking a cocktail. I don't want to be working, right? So that idea was for me personally like, oh, okay. The misconception of being a coach and making lots of money and traveling the world, actually, unless you are really disciplined and you can do that, for me, I can't. Like when I travel, I want to travel. When I work, I want to work. So that was also a big misconception for me coming into the space of like, oh my God, I can be a coach and make money and travel. And dude, I haven't done any, like I've done some traveling, but like early days, you need to work, you need to make money, and it takes everything you've got. Once you send out the email blast, you need to post on Instagram, and then you need to follow up with your leads from the day before, and then you need to follow up with your new leads from today, and then you realize, oh, I have to service my clients now, and then you got to realize, oh, I got to follow up with them to see if they can offer me any referrals, and then I need to post, and then I need to create the content, and there's so many things that you need to do that early days, you don't really get to do that. And when you eventually get to do that, it's on the other side of a successful business. So I think that, man, was a big... I was young when I was 27 when I started and single. So I was very much like looking on Instagram and getting caught up in how fast I could get there to the point that we were talking about before. So now I'm in a much more grounded place of like, okay, if in 5 years' time I'm working 4 hours a week, I get to spend a lot of time with my family and my son, and I get to be there for the soccer games. He's not going to play soccer. I don't know why I said soccer. AFL or basketball, that's what he's going to do. But if I can be, that's what's important to me. So the money was never, I don't value money that much. I just value what it can do for me. And so then as you become a coach and you start making money, you start paying your bills, guess what usually happens? And I've spoken to a few coaches before I jumped on. You take a step back because you're like, oh, my bills are paid. And there isn't a boss that's behind you saying work, work, work. So you're like, well, my bills are paid and I can just choose to do whatever I want. So, and again, this just comes back to hopefully the theme of today's podcast, which is, yes, being a coach requires you to know the numbers and all that stuff, but really you're just working on yourself and it's disguised as a business. Like that's really what it is. And it's a gift because I look to my friends who I love and I look to people who don't run their own businesses. And I'm like, oh, bro, you're the exact same person as you were 10 years ago. Like you haven't changed at all because nothing's been a catalyst for your change. You get a salary every week, a paycheck comes in. You don't really have to look at your life in terms of where your pain points are because life's somewhat good. You get a 4% pay rise every year. Maybe you get a bloody, what's it called when you get a promotion, right? So for me, I think going into business is like the greatest thing that you can do personally because you want to sell a $14,000 program, Dylan? Let's look at your self-worth. Like,
Yes.
are you worthy of that? Oh, I don't know, am I? Ooh. I haven't had to ask myself that question, Like your stuff with dad that I mentioned, like everything comes to the surface. So it's a beautiful gift to be a coach. You have to look at it that way, though. And it's difficult when you're in the shit to look at it as a gift. If you'd asked me even just 3 months ago, I would have been like, don't be a coach, guys. Like this sucks. Just go get a job. This isn't for everyone. It also isn't for everyone. I just want to say that. Gary Vee's got a great clip and he's talking about this is from years ago, and he says, not everyone's meant to be a CEO or a number one. Some people of you listening are meant to be a number two, and you will be an amazing number two. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I think social media has really affected our idea of success. It's taken a lot of people away from good values. Look at who the most successful people are now. They're OnlyFans models and gambling addicts that stream their like it's just, so if money is your driving factor, it's going to be really hard to stick it out through the tough periods when you're either not making money or it's really pushing you to question, why are you doing this? And for me, I was just so grateful that I was like, yeah, I do want to help young men. I do want to help families. Like, that is my purpose. So if I can just survive. That's also the other thing. I'm saying so much, but it's like sometimes you just need to survive. So like for me, I look at the last 12 months. Me and my partner split up almost 12 months ago. For me, it was, how do I get through the day? And that was a success for me. So again, my values and how I deemed, for me, I look back at last year now, having come out of it, and I go, that was a success just because I survived it. Now, was this, I went from, as I said, now if I could do the conversion from USD, I went from $500,000 to $100,000. But I will look at that year as a success because of my values and because of that I survived that year, right? Awesome, great. Now, Dylan, let's start to thrive, right? Now let's step out of survival mode. Let's get back into the systems, the funnels, the sales calls, the following up, the living the doctrine. Like, okay, I can actually live it now. Like, I'm not in bed crying every day and wishing to be dead, So yeah, and then you find a sense of, like, I think you need a sense of humor. Like, I'm smiling about it and laughing, and I'm quite cavalier about the suicidal ideation that I had. But that's because I've been just in the fire. And when you're in the fire and you step out of it, you just look at the fire as like a gift. You're like, it sucked when I was burning up in there, but like, wow, I've become a better person. I've become a better father. I've become a better son, friend, all that, business owner. And again, because of the work that I specifically do, I'm a better coach now. Like, I've been in that hell. I've been in the hell that my clients have been in. And I'm like, I had depression and anxiety, but I was never suicidal. Now I'm like, I've been there, bro. I'm like, yeah, cool. I know what that's like now. I can serve you better.
Yeah. Okay. I know you got to go, but dude, this was like, this is what I wanted the show to be. So
Cool.
anti the make money online, go be a coaches, and be
Yeah.
like, actually, it's a business like literally every other business, and
Yeah.
maybe harder. And
Yeah.
it's awesome, but also it's not just this magical fairy tale thing where everyone's like, oh, make 10 grand in the next 30 days. Or like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, what a relief to me that there are other people who are in it and are like, yeah, it's just a business. And I'm really
Yeah.
grateful for it. And it's really impactful. And it's just a business that is really hard. So
Yeah.
anyway, dude, thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to ask a million more questions, but where
Give me
people
one more.
find
Give
you
me
if they
one
wanna
more.
learn
Give me another one if you got another one. I got time. Give me another one.
No, you said you had to
You
go.
good?
Fine. What are you talking
I
about?
know. I'm loving this combo though.
Oh
I'll
my
text
goodness.
my client right now. But hit me another one. I'm loving this. So go. If you've got another one,
Now
go.
I've got to decide. I was gonna ask you what the next big mountain you've got to climb is and how you're preparing for that. Essentially, like,
Yeah.
here's this initial struggle in front of me. I know I got to get through this. What am I gonna do? Like, what's the next step to growing this back up to what you want it to
Yeah.
be?
Mate, probably the working when you've got money. Like, to me, that's really, that is hard. Like, when I've got my bills paid and I've got a little bit of money sitting in there, that's when it gets hard for me, because it's like, well, why am I working? I've got money. I'm good. Right.
This is what you're at right now. You're just like,
yeah. But the thing is, I've got a men's coach, and I know that the drive is there. So I was actually having this conversation last year with a couple of friends, and I was talking to them, and I was like, no, man, like, I do not want to live an average life. Like, if I can get to a place where I am in private jets and I'm on a yacht in Croatia, like, yes, that is what I want. And I know that that is authentically me, because I've always wanted that. Like, when I was a kid, it was like, I want to be like, so funniest, this is a funny story. So dumb now thinking of it. So when I was looking at playing AFL when I was 18, now Australian sport does not hit the salary cap of American sports. So like the top paid players, like 1 million, I think now we're starting to sign like 1.4, and they're the best athletes in AFL, right? And I remember being 18, looking at it going, that's not enough money. Like, I'll go do something else because that's not that much. If I could go back in time and knock my younger self out and be like, bro, you're not gonna make $1.4 million in 10 years. Just do it, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so I've always wanted that thing. So for me, I know that, okay, I've got that drive, I've got the hunger, and I want it. Why, when I get money, do I take my foot off? And that's the personal development piece that I've been talking about. So it's like, why? Because I suffer. Because it's not like, oh, just chill out and I'm fine. I'm like, oh, let's just chill out, and then the next day I'm like, why the fuck didn't I work? You idiot! Like so. Again, so that's the next mountain for me is, okay, how can I start to heal whatever that piece is, so that, yeah, I do make, because it's not, for me, it's not about the money, but then it becomes about the money and all this sort of back and forth sort of thing. So I mean, like, to me, families, I'm in Hawaii right now with my family, so to be able to work right now while I'm here, I'm like, cool, I am showing up, I am working, and then I'll jump on with my client next, I'll work with him, then I'll spend a few hours with my family, then I'll probably come back, do a little bit of work. So for me, like, that's the next thing, is just figuring out the money piece of being in abundance, or having the goals that I want start to be hit. That's definitely the next, and I'm in it. I'm halfway up it, or I'm a quarter. I'm somewhere up that mountain now. So I'm in the middle of that.
Man, yeah, I love all of that. It's so applicable to everyone in coaching, in business, and life. And you're so right, man. Like, fatherhood, for me at least, fatherhood, marriage, but also business is just like, you want to grow? It's like,
Yeah,
here's some fire. Like you said,
yeah,
like the refiner's fire is just constant.
yeah,
And it's awesome because I find myself like in 2 years from now, I know I'm going to look back and be like, you are so dumb. Like, how could you
yeah,
possibly have even survived? Like, how could you even be breathing right now? But it also sometimes makes it hard for relationships to continue if you're not also friends with people who are in the same space doing the
yeah,
same thing. Because you're like, dude, I've grown so much because I'm burning, and you're just
yeah.
staying over there. So that's an interesting thing that I'm not going to touch on because I feel bad for keeping you from client.
No,
So anyway,
he's mate. He's 16, and
he
he
just does what you
sleeps.
say.
He
You're like, bro,
sleep
you're
well.
not getting a coaching call today,
Well,
and you're
he
paying me
sleeps
double.
in.
And he's like, okay.
He sleeps in. So I have a feeling he's not even going to jump on, which is why I'm like, just keep asking me questions. But that's also like, Chris Williamson just posted a clip about it. The guy in the UK, he's got a great podcast, and I can't remember who he quoted, but there is no such thing as an adult. And then he goes on to talk about all the amazing people that had all these huge character defects. That's maybe a bit harsh, but he talks about how, let me think of an example. But just basically like, we think that there are these people that have life figured out. I mean, cool. Take you and I, for example. We're coaches. You work with men, or you used to work with men, family men, and then you went through a massive journey the last couple of years where it broke you down and all that sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, no one's got it figured out. Like, I don't have it figured out. You don't have it figured out. No one has it figured out. As I said, the faking it till you make it is kind of like, I think this will work. Let me see if this will work. And the more courageous you can be with your own life, then like, the world belongs to the action takers. And I strongly believe that the amount of people I've spoken to over the last 12 months who want to start a business and want to do something cool, and I'm like, listen, you think you do, but you don't. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do it. They're like, and then
Exactly.
all they do is come up with all the excuses. And I'm like, you don't want to do it. Like, you just do it. They're like, yeah, but this. And I'm like, cool, so don't do it then. Yeah, but this. And I'm like, then do it. Like, you do it or don't do it. Don't sit here and argue with yourself. Just do it or don't do it. Like, so that's also the thing is, when I did it, so for me, my journey was like, I did network marketing. I did foreign exchange market, Forex. I was one of those guys that knew about Bitcoin before Bitcoin was a thing and was like, what is that? And then, oh shit, should have bought at least one coin. So, but my upbringing was so much. This is why sport is so powerful for people and kids. Sport was all about do difficult things, face the challenges head on, get through it, push through it. So that was my upbringing. So business was the same for me. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm going to do this. I just got to push through, push, 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 push. I don't really care what people think, but then you do care what people think, and then you stop doing stuff because you care what people think, but then you're like, that's stupid, so now I'm going to do it. But then someone comments something mean, and you're like, oh my God, this sucks. So, but the person that you become on the other side, like now, they're like, I'm pretty much unfuckwithable. But the only reason that I'm unfuckwithable is because I got fucked with and it brought out all my shit, right?
Totally.
So even coaches go through it. Even adult, there's no such thing as an adult. There's no such thing as like a coach who's got it all figured out. And if you find a coach who's like, I have it all figured out, run. Like run. That's not, he or she does not have it all figured out. Okay, they're a human being with challenges. I'll have future challenges that'll break me down again in the future, and I know that. And I'll just become stronger on the other side of it.
This is so much better than like, and what is the exact ratio of your Facebook ROAS? It's like, okay, we got through that, but this is the goal, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I can just marinate in this, so I think I'm going to. Where can people find you? I'm going to cut it off if you're not going to cut it off.
Cool. Dylan.Roos on Instagram. Dylan. It's the only way, the only proper way to spell Dylan, in my opinion. Dylan.Roos on Instagram. Dylan Roos Coaching is my website. And then Prince to King is my program. So my school group, for the parents listening, if anyone wants to join the school group, is going to be Sons Rising. Sons Rising community. For the boys listening, if there's any young men listening, it's called the Brotherhood on school. There's also a young man's group. That'll be the next thing that I focus on. To your earlier question is like, how do I start to get boys now into this stuff? And I know that I'll be able to do that because Andrew Tate became the most famous person in the world. So boys want mentors. It's just, how do I get them the right, how do we step away from
you're going to have to like, how are you going to, oh my goodness, man, getting them in without being a total douchebag. It's like, okay. So that should be fun for you.
Back to like knowing your values. It would be super easy for me to message a couple of I'm in Hawaii right now. I could do it right now. I could message a couple of my beach volleyball friends who are in college. I could rent out a yacht for $1,500 for the day. I could get a videographer or a photographer for $500. It would cost me $2,000. I could jump on a yacht, film a bunch of content and post it. And I know that will work. I know it. I know I would get a shitload of clients. I'd make a shitload of money off of it. It cost me $2,000. I know it without a doubt. Do I want to do that? Is that in alignment with my values? I'm pretty much the opposite of that, right? I'm like, listen, guys, that's not what it means to be a man. It's not about the yachts and the girls. It's about being a man of substance. So for me, it's like, it's not about, it's living your values. And for the coaches listening, whatever it is the reason that you start doing it, write the reason down when you start. This is why I'm doing it. I'm doing this to serve fathers. I'm doing this to serve boys. I'm doing this to serve whoever. And never forget why you started. My dad does work in the leadership space, and he works with founders and all the time. And he says the number one breakdown for founders and for businesses is because they just forget why they started in the first place. They step away from why they started. It's like, you have to remember why. And I'm so grateful for my dad and my mom because they've saved me from so many. Like, if I didn't have them, dude, I'd be on a yacht right now doing this podcast. Like, hey man, you want to be? I'd be that guy. I'd be like, yeah, bro. So like, what you need to do is you need to just get around hella bitches and make heaps of money, and then that's how you become a man of value. Like all these red pill bros, bro. I'd be a red pill bro for sure because it's enticing. I'm sure you have moments where you're like, man, maybe I need to like, oh geez, this looks pretty good. Like I have those moments all the time, but I just come back to my values. Done.
All right, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the insane value. This is like, man, so good. So good. So we'll put all that in the show notes. If you guys want to follow him, make your sons better men, make sure to give him a shout. This has been the Real Coach Show by Proclaim Podcast, and we'll see you in the next week.